Hello again, guys. It's Gregola Productions here, back again with another episode of the GPWS, and here we are again with our Style 66, where we are just about to install our balance wheel. So before we do that, I am going to oil the balance cups, so this guy and that guy there, and we're going to actually do it right, I hope. So there's our cup there. I'm going to take the oiler and just get one drop in there. There we go. That's oiled now. That's all you need. And the same with the other cup. Pretty sure you can see the date code there. Yeah, that's oiled too now. Terrific. Okay, now the pivots or the points of the balance wheel actually have something to like sit on. Because again, we're working with, well, I say sit on as in, you know, something to oil it, something to lubricate it. Because, you know, as it is, you know, we're working with friction here, and we want to make sure there's as little friction as humanly possible. So I'm going to stick this stuff. Actually, this is easier to hold this way now because the bell's on. Nice. Okay. Put our balance wheel just kind of in like this. We've got our balance cup more or less out. I can unscrew that some more and then screw it in. There we go. I was doing it by hand there, but really it should be like this. There you go. Okay. Okay, and then our hairspring actually needs to go through the regulator again here. Okay. So, let's put our... Again, let's try that again. There it is. Stick it in just like that. Oh, you get to see some real hairspring action here, guys, now. I bet you're all glad you tuned in. Okay. There's that. And is that in the wrong way? Oh my gosh, it is. Okay, we're gonna pull it out again because we got it wrong. The impulse pin was in the wrong place. Oh my gosh. Okay. Now we need to just try that again. I think we're okay now. If I spin the balance wheel around and then there we go. That looks more right. And then stick our hairspring. Again, this stuff has been so well taken care of that this hairspring is just going like straight in. It's barely even putting up any type of fight whatsoever. See, most of the time, you find them and they're just trashed, and I'm sure the one you're working on isn't. And I'm not saying this to be mean or anything, but it's probably not in this condition. So it's probably a little worse in one way or another. Probably cosmetically, but you know what? That's what we're doing here. We're going to try and fix all this stuff up. And if you have to repaint a case, then so be it. So, okay. That's good like that, I think. There's the end of the hairspring. Oops. Trying to actually focus that. Oh my gosh. Okay, hope you can actually see that now. So there's our impulse, not our impulse pin, the offset bend, and you stick the taper pin in there, and away you go. And is this actually in beat? Looks like it is. And what I mean by that, viewers, you can see this spoke here. Is it aligned with the pallet fork? Well, it looks like it is. That looks mostly in beat. I'm just gonna press that down with my pliers here, just a little bit. I don't want that taper pin coming unpinned at some point. The only time you want it coming unpinned is when you're actually like taking it apart. Being very gentle. You can also use those big stubby kind of screwdriver things that you find all the time now. These guys, this type of thing. Just rock it on there. And just do it in small little increments, and you should be good. And I think that's golden right there. So now what we can do is oil the rest of the movement. Actually, that balance cup needs to be tighter because it's just kind of flip-flopping all over the place in there. So let's tighten that up. And is that bet? Well, it's better. We're getting there now. The rule of thumb for these usually is tighten it up until it won't move anymore freely. So that's that right there. And then turn it back about 1/4 of a turn. So that's about probably like that, I'd say. That's probably good enough. And you want want just a, well, actually you don't really need much play in it, but yeah, no, that should be fine. If there is just a tiny little bit of play in it, that's not the end of the world, just as long as it moves freely and isn't having any issues. Well, guys, what do you say? Should we wind it up? Not quite yet. I want to use a different type of oil. This is Mobil OW-40. This is a fully synthetic motor oil that I like to use working on clocks, and I know some of you are probably hating me right now, but the stuff has been approved by the NAWCC. This isn't something I came up with by myself. So somebody has done enough research on oil to understand that OW-40 by Mobil is probably a good idea on most pivots here. But I'm still going to kind of go back and forth between that and Liberty. There's more than one right answer as to which oil should you use when working on this stuff. So I'm just going to put a few drops in here. One on the outside rim, a few in here. You don't want to over oil it. Yeah, this works. Grease also. I like to use grease a lot of the time with this stuff, but I don't know if I'm going to this time. Alright, so let's do that, and then we can take our key and wind it up and see what happens. Whoops, that's not what we want. I'm pretty confident this is going to run, but there's always a chance it won't. Alright. Let's see if it'll start on its own. Oh. Almost wound up entirely. Oh, we're started. Yeah, we are going. We have a liftoff, folks. And this is with no oil, hey? And we're getting that motion with basically no oil on the thing other than the two balance cups. So that's pretty good. We'll crank that up all the way. There we are. That's as much as I'm going to add on that spring power wise. And I'm also going to wind up our alarm. And then, actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to put oil in that first. It's always good to oil it and then run it. Don't, well, spring-wise. Oil it and then wind it up, because you can't really get into it quite as well after it's been, fully wound up. Now I'm going to put a little bit of oil on the top of that. There we go. And I'm also going to stick some right over here. A little oil goes a long way, guys, so be somewhat sparing with it. And I'm going to put a bit there, a bit there. There we go. So that's about the same running quality it was giving me before. And there we go. And my camera is now being knocked over again. There we go. Oh boy. There we go. There's all of that. And now it is time to actually start oiling this thing, like pivot-wise. But first, a little drop there. A little drop there. And a drop there, too. Okay, now we're done. So what can we oil first? And guys, if your movement is not running at this stage in the game, don't be upset, because really usually they almost never are. This is fairly rare. A 66 that has actually been maintained, that's almost unheard of. And also I brought back the Ryobi work light because my total lack of lighting is actually really annoying me. So hopefully we can use that to give us some better lighting here. So the first thing I'm going to use, and I'm actually going to wipe my oiler off because I don't want to mix oils. Okay, so now, the first thing I'm going to do is oil my impulse pin. Hope I didn't just spray everything with oil around me there. I'm going to put one more drop on that, actually. There we go. Okay, now I can oil the pins on the pallet fork. I'm gonna oil both pins. There we are. I'm gonna go around here, and I want to oil every tooth of that escape wheel too, but that's kind of, we'll do that later. I'm not gonna worry about that right now. I'm gonna oil my first pivot. Come on. Second pivot. And get some more oil. Third pivot. There it is. Fourth. And that's basically the entire time train, more or less. This guy, all that stuff in there is already oiled, so I don't have to worry about it. Oil my alarm spring pivot. There we are. What else can we oil? Oh, this guy I think needs it. Actually, wait, no. I already oiled that. This here, so we're good there. I think we're good on this side. Oh wait, no we're not. This has not been oiled. This pivot here, and it's hard to get to that one because of where it's at. This wheel mostly blocks it, so. Okay, now we'll flip it over. And we'll try it again on this side here. Now oil that as well. That most definitely needs it. All of this stuff needs it, hey? I mean, you don't want to run any real piece of machinery without some form of lubrication in one way or another. I'm gonna oil the alarm stuff on this side. And I'm gonna oil my alarm escape stuff. Look at how dusty this thing already is already. Like, it's not bad, but there's already dust on this thing. I just cleaned it. In the course of an afternoon, this thing has dust on it already, or at least it looks like it has dust on it. There's a hair there, we'll get that out. Look at that, someone has made a line on that. Interesting. Okay. It was kind of funny because I was going to make my own line. I was going to draw it with a Sharpie to know when this wheel has gone a full revolution. And that, we'll talk about that in a minute, but I like to oil all these teeth as well on this gear. Again, anywhere where there's friction, so. Okay, what can I oil next? This stuff here, that clicks. So this stuff right here needs it. And these guys, these click spring things, these guys need it as well. They need oil. How if I just give it a little drop in there? If I oil one or two of these, we should be okay. As I said, don't go crazy by any means with the oil. Okay, that is definitely enough for that. And, okay, and then we're gonna do the same over here. Not even my work light's helping me. There we go. And now we will do the same kind of oil the teeth again here. So now what I'm going to do is oil every tooth of, well, almost every tooth of this alarm escape wheel, because you definitely do not want that running with no oil. So I'm going to take more from my dish here. I'm almost out of the dish here. I've used almost all of it. And oil that. And we will, and again, viewers, if your movement isn't running by this point, don't worry about it. There's one area we haven't oiled yet, and it's that escape wheel right there, oiling the actual, every tooth of that. That has been literally life and death for some movements, well, including and excluding 66s. So make sure you oil everything, and then we'll figure out why it doesn't work later. And if it wants to run now, then that's terrific. All right. Now we can just can trip our alarm, and we can hold that and oil every tooth, basically. Every second tooth, probably every tooth or second tooth. Actually, I should get in there so you can see it, not put my hand in the way. Good to know this stuff works, though. Okay. Maybe I'm being too light on the oil. I don't know. But then again, you can always add more, can't you? Okay, that's probably good. Look at that. Alright, so the last thing we haven't oiled is our escape wheel here. And it's interesting, this clock has two escapements happening. It has the alarm escapement and it has the time escapement. It's literally just this, like, it's the same thing, just twice. And just in different ways. Obviously, this one's running all the time and that one's not. Okay, so let's oil one tooth, this guy here. Every second tooth. I'm trying not to get oil on the actual gear. You want it in the space where the pin is going to slide into. And it looks like I'm trying to actually oil this right. It's on the fronts of these. So right here is where you want to oil it, because that's where the pin itself makes contact. Okay. Interesting stuff. Okay, well, I've had this guy going on and off for a few days now, and we are running absolutely fantastic all throughout. So, I don't think there's anything left that we need to do. I'll just give the movement a quick once over, see if we forgot to oil something. We got all our pivots, and we got our escape wheel, pallet fork, balance wheel. This area right here, this is a spot I like to oil as well, because as you can see, there's that brass washer or whatever that is. There's a washer underneath that, and that's, you know, a nice friction filled area. And of course that is involved with setting the time. I believe that gives the center wheel some type of tension, and obviously this never comes apart, hey? That's just one piece that's permanently stamped together. I'd only even try to take that thing apart if one of the trunnions in there was wrecked. If I didn't have a replacement or something, and if I found it better to just have put a new trunnion in, then that's the only time I'd ever want to even take that wheel apart. One thing I want to cover here before we put it back together is how to align the alarm with the actual clock itself. So, you know, when you're putting the dial on this thing, you stick the alarm hand on, you stick the hands on. How on earth do you know what time the alarm is even going to go off at? So here's what we do. So because that's a luminous dial, I don't really want to take the camera out there and film that if I don't have to. I'd rather just do it myself quick and, you know, not have the camera there, and less risk of the camera getting any radium on it or anything like that. You get what I mean. So I'll just show you what I have to do here anyways. So let's say the dial's on this thing and you stick the alarm hand on. What you do is you turn the alarm setting knob until you hear that click. And then to see if it's actually clicked or not, you can try and turn it backwards. It won't turn because that little ramp is in the way. So then you can just turn the clock or the time backwards, and this will go with it, if that makes any sense. The cheese wheel will go with the ramp wherever you go. You can only turn it the one way. It won't follow you that way unless you've got the tension wrong, but it should only follow the one way. If you turn it backwards, counterclockwise, you know. Yeah, so you can do that and then set the alarm to any time you want. So let's say, I don't know, let's set the alarm for 6. So we'll line all that stuff up, and then we will, and of course the alarm hand would be pointing down, and then you put the minute and hour hand on in the 6 o'clock position, more or less, and then make any other little further adjustments that you need. It's really not that hard. It's hard to explain, but if you play around with it for a little bit, you'll kind of figure out how to actually sync up the alarm with the actual time on the clock. That's the word I'm looking, or that's the terms I'm looking for right there. Syncing the alarm with the actual time on the clock dial. And just in case you don't understand what I'm talking about, here's a nice visual representation of that. Here's another 66, which I haven't serviced yet. And as you can see, we got our time setting knob and the alarm setting knob. So what you want to do, of course, put the dial on, stick the alarm hand on any which way. So let's say it's just on there like that. And then before you even put these two hands on, you turn it around. Oops. Turn it. You hear a click. And then you don't really want to put the hands on in a position like this. You want to make sure it's like on the hour, because it's just easier. So you'd put it in the 6 o'clock position. You'd put the hands on in that position, more or less. And then if it goes, if you want to test it, you wind it up quick and you see kind of how the alarm goes off. So you'll try 7 o'clock and then run the hands around to that time. And maybe, and I know it clicked over here, so that's pretty good, but let's say it clicks over here or something like that. Let's say it, you know, it's not synced. You just take the hand off and then put it on again. Make sure the alarm hand, of course, or not the alarm hand, the hour hand is aligned, and you're all good to go. So that is how you sync up the alarm with the actual time on the clock. You wait for that click, and then you can go on from there. And if you don't get it, ask in the comments and I'll try and explain it better than I have here, hopefully. Oh, and by the way, this logic applies to any Westclox alarm clock, at least Westclox. I use this for every single brand. I've never found a brand where this doesn't work, to my knowledge at the moment. But yeah, you can do this with literally any alarm clock. And just to show you one more time here, how turning the hands counterclockwise will reset the alarm dial. Here it is. So as you can see, I'm not turning this knob, it's just spinning with it. And that is because, as I said, it's just a matter of this happening. Yeah, so most alarm clocks will work like that, to my knowledge. Alright, so here's the Westclox Spur. And we have been running for quite a while now, so this clock is just fine. You can hear the nice, well, you've seen the nice amplitude, but now you can actually hear it among other clocks in my room, and you can also see my own reflection off the glass. So that must tell you something, that this particular spur is in really decent condition. There are a few little things there and there, but is it worth stripping down the whole thing to be repainted? No, not in this condition. At least I don't think so anyway. stripping clocks down and, you know, repainting them, totally restoring them, and getting them to look brand new, and hopefully function like they're brand new. Those are both goals I'm interested in pursuing. But for this particular clock, this project is over, and with regular maintenance, this guy should be absolutely fine for a long time. So let's wind it up, because this thing, with all my clocks, I mean, the reason I even started this hobby to begin with was to have these and to own them and use them. And of course, with repairing, here I am using them. So that's great. And let's set our alarm here. So just think, I don't know, maybe some of you missed how the alarm works on these or whatever. Literally, you turn this knob here. Sometimes it's marked with an arrow, but by 1954, generally everybody knew how to use these. They could figure out how to use one of these if they didn't know how to use it. Literally, this is your alarm, this dial up here. So if you want to get up at 6 a.m., you set this to 6. Or if you want to get up at 5, you set it to 5. And as you hear, there's that click, which I explained how that works earlier. And if we just turn this to 6 a.m., I'll show you what this sounds like. So you wind up your alarm spring, 2-spring movement. This key actually looks a little bit rusty on that side. And as for this one, it looks okay, but a little bit of rust on both of those keys. I'll have to figure out a way to remove that at some point. Although I doubt I'll be doing anything with this clock for a while. And so is I just realized the base has a little bit of rust on it. Okay, maybe it's not in perfect condition. It's in pretty good though. You know, that's probably one of my best Westclox right there. And we pull our alarm knob out. We set our time. Definitely a loud alarm. And of course, that's what happens if you don't turn the alarm off, or, you know, if you don't stop it beforehand. And as you saw probably in the shadow, this key was spinning. That's just how these things are designed. It's really neat. It really, really is. I like the design of these. They look great. They're easy to see in the dark. And of course, when this was actually, like when the luminous paint on these was actually working, they'd glow in the dark, and you had really easy to read big numbers and hands to read. So that's it from me. And yeah, if you ever want to pursue one of these clocks yourself to work on, you know whose series to consult. Or you know who to ask for help in the comments, because I'll try and give you guys my best knowledge, and also my best videos too. Some comments are way too hard to answer in a paragraph. Well, not necessarily way too hard to answer in a paragraph. Some are, but sometimes it just makes more sense to turn on the camera and just make a video about a certain subject rather than responding in a comment. So if you ask me a comment, or if you ask me something in a comment, and I say watch out for the video on this particular subject, then please do, because I'll try and actually elaborate on everything and try not to miss any details. So anyway, guys, that is the Westclox Spur series, the Spur Style 1 series. It's hard for me to think of these as like the Big Bends where there's 10 styles. I mean, it's just kind of, I don't know, for me it's not the same. I feel like these are just kind of random clocks with names slapped on them. I mean, that's what all the 66s feel like, honestly. Just different designs with a name slapped on it to give it some sort of customer relatability. I have no idea. I don't know why they named all these things. I mean, I guess it's better for a sales, like I said earlier, for a sales perspective. You don't want to be selling the R9138. Or what would you rather buy, the R9138 or the Westclox Spur? You know, and that is not the real number. That's not the real like model number for this. I just made that up. Yeah. And oh, by the way, don't listen to patent dates on these things. That is absolutely not. These are not date codes in any way, shape, or form. I believe the patent date, I think it's talking about the case. Although that doesn't sound right. I'm not sure what exactly is being patented here, but or oh, maybe it is that actually it might be the case because they updated this little leg at some point. It used to be where this was riveted on and it would actually wrap around the back. If you look at an earlier Spur, you'll see what I'm talking about. Maybe this is from 46. I don't know. I'm really not sure about that. Maybe that's when this came in. But anyway, that's a mystery for the workhorse of Westclox, probably. Yeah, in case you didn't see my community post on the workhorse of Westclox, just bear with me on this. There's all this crazy information being found out, and I want to do this job right, so it's taking forever to do it. It's taking forever to make that particular series. So please bear with me on it. I'll try and get it to you as soon as I can. But in the meantime, this is what we got cooking, and I will see you guys in the next video.